content. Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett, and I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. Okay, so today's topic, I don't know if it's important to the home business community, but I'm telling you, this is some juicy stuff, okay? So, who knew that Facebook was in a $7 billion with the B dollar fight with the IRS? Who knew? Okay, well, guess what? They are. All right. So what has happened this week is that a California judge basically told Facebook, nope, they don't have a right to force the IRS to appeals court. So let me give y'all the lowdown of what's been happening. All right. So back in 2011, the IRS started auditing Facebook's financials for 2008 and 2009. Then in 2013, the IRS said, we're going to add 2010 onto that. Okay. The audit was focused on agreements between Facebook Inc. and Facebook Ireland, and it was about transferring worldwide business rights to intangible assets. Okay. So intangible assets, those are things like goodwill, reputation, all that. That's an asset, but you can't touch it. Okay. That's what intangible assets means. All right. So transferring those business rights to Facebook Ireland and saying that they were worth approximately $7 billion. And the IRS is trying to determine whether their accountants undervalued those assets. So basically saying, yeah, $7 billion when it could have been more like $20 billion. Okay. So now, in July 2016, the IRS issued Facebook a statutory notice of deficiency, or it's called a 90-day letter. This is not a tax bill, but what it does tell you is that the IRS is intending to assess a tax deficiency. Okay. This is part of the whole IRS collections process, this 90-day letter. Okay, it ain't just for corporations, it's for regular people too. If you have a tax bill that you haven't paid, you'll get a 90-day letter from the IRS at some point. Now, so the 90-day letter, it basically says the IRS intends to assess a tax deficiency, and it informs the taxpayer of their rights. Okay. Now, if you did not know, there is a taxpayer bill of rights, and on one of my posts, I showed a link to the IRS, to the part of the IRS website that has the IRS bill of rights, the taxpayer bill of rights. Okay. So since Facebook did not agree with what the IRS said, they said that they said, we want to take this to tax court because we don't agree that we owe you what you say we owe. Okay. Now, so Facebook basically wants the IRS to go back and say, you need to check again because we don't think that we owe you this much money. Now, Facebook was concerned that while the notice only applied to 2010, the IRS explicitly stated that it would apply the same position for future tax years. And Facebook said, and he told the SEC, well, not Mark Zuckerberg, but their attorneys and whatnot. It said if the IRS wins, that could result in an additional federal tax liability of an estimated amount of $3 to $5 billion plus interest and penalties. Okay. Do you know how many zeros is in a billion? Okay. I think it's like 9, right? Wait a minute. You got 1,000 is 3, million is 6. Yeah. I do believe it's 9 zeros. Okay. Any fraction of a billion is going to be a fat number. All right. Now, Facebook also wanted to take this, take their case to an appeals court. And basically they were looking for an outside resolution. That's what they were looking for. They were looking for, to have this settled in appeals court, which is kind of like, an alternative dispute resolution is what this is. Okay. And so, the goal is to resolve it outside of tax court. Facebook is not trying to go to court. Okay, well, no. The IRS told Facebook, hey, we don't have to send this to appeals. We can take this to tax court. So Facebook was not excited about that at all. And then they basically filed a case that said, hey, we have an enforceable right for the IRS to take this to court. And that's based on the taxpayer's Bill of Rights, specifically numbers 4 and 5. The Bill of Rights number 4 is the right to challenge the IRS's position and be heard, which they were getting. And number 5, the right to appeal an IRS decision in an independent forum. Now, further explained, it says this in the taxpayer's Bill of Rights. Taxpayers are entitled to a fair and impartial administrative appeal of most, not all, most IRS decisions, including many penalties, and have the right to receive a written response regarding the Office of Appeals' decision. Taxpayers generally have the right to take their cases to court. Okay, and so what Facebook was saying is that we have a right to take this, have this settled in appeals court. And the IRS said, no, you don't. Like, you can, but we're not agreeing to that. We're going to court. And so, Facebook is saying that the IRS is legally required to try and resolve the matter outside of a court, based on the taxpayer's Bill of Rights. The IRS said, no. And so that's when they went to court. And then this judge said that Facebook does not have an enforceable right to take its tax case to IRS appeals or compel the IRS to do so, since the right did not exist and Facebook was not harmed in all of this by the IRS refusal to move to appeals. So basically, this judge said, sorry, Facebook, you're going to court. Okay. So now that does not mean that that Facebook has lost its case. It just lost the ability to have this basically settled in dispute resolution. Okay. No, they're going to be going to court. That's not going to happen until August. And with the judge dismissing this case with prejudice is what it says. With prejudice means that the judge said, look, you going to court. That's final. You can't come back and appeal this decision. We done and over with. You're going to court. So they're still having, their case to say, okay, we don't believe we owe this much. That just doesn't happen until later in the year. So, Facebook is in a fight, can you imagine having to write a check for $3 to $5 billion? For interest and penalties? What kind of payment plan does that look like? All right. Now, mind you, even still with the federal government, you have the federal government has 10 years to collect a debt. Okay. And so with Facebook's valuation, wait a minute, let me see. Their brand revenue is $25.6 billion. So they got the money. And so if they lose, then they're going to have to pay this money. Ain't that something? Right? So, what is the lesson here? Okay. That, when it comes down to corporate finance, especially when we're dealing in a global world, having, this kind of stuff is going to happen. Is it to say that Facebook did something wrong? Absolutely not. Because the IRS's, stance in all of this is that their accountants undervalued their, the value of this, intangible assets. So, undervalued is going to be kind of equated to underreporting. So you say it's only worth $7 billion. We say it's worth more than that. So, so now how they're going to prove that it was worth more than $7 billion. I have no freaking clue. But the fact is that when it comes down to big business, that stuff like this is going to happen. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that Facebook did anything wrong or intentionally did anything wrong, right? And, it just happens because, see, when we're talking about valuation can be a matter of opinion, right? And so if there's a way to prove that, this valuation, it was actually undervalued, then yeah, they're going to have to pay. But if it's not, then, there's no change. So yeah, Facebook has the right to fight it. As you can see, this has been going on for a long time. This started in 2011, and here we are in 2018, just getting to the point where, this judge says, okay, no, you can't take it to appeals. So the audit process is taking a long time, and anything having to do with IRS debt resolution, it is time consuming. It really is. It's going to take, the letters back and forth, the corresponding, there are specific deadlines that have to be met, and any false step on those deadlines, if you miss it by a day, then you've blown it, right? So you've definitely got to abide by that. And yeah, it is time consuming, for the normal taxpayer, dealing with the IRS doesn't take that long, but it is time consuming. It can take up to a year to get an offer in compromise, accepted or even rejected. It just takes a long time. That's just what it is. And so this is why people usually hire people for representation purposes, just because it is very time consuming, and that there are, specific deadlines that you have to meet. And if you, the taxpayer, really don't understand what those deadlines are, you can blow yourself out of the water just for lack of knowledge. Okay. So even though 9 times out of 10, the letters that you get tell you explicitly by what date you have to respond. But a lot of times people don't read the letters, and not reading the letters is not the same as not getting the letters. That part doesn't fly. Like, people think that if you get a letter from the IRS and you don't open it, that means that you technically didn't receive it. It does not go that way. If you don't read the letter, that's your problem. But the letters generally tell you exactly by when you need to respond and to whom you need to respond. And if you don't do those things, then you force the IRS to further apply the law. And so in this case, Facebook has been, complying with the IRS, supplying all the documents that they've asked for and everything. So they are really cooperating with the IRS. And so, which leads me to believe that hey, we really didn't do anything wrong here. And so now they're just going to have to fight it out. But man, this started in 2011, and here we are in 2018, and we're just getting to the part about where they couldn't take it to appeal. So there's still some fight left. Okay. Like I said, the next, their case is not going to be heard until August of this year. And, who knows how that's going to turn out. So, but I am going to be watching this because this is just juicy to me. All right. So yeah, that's what's going on these tax streets, y'all. All right. So I hope this was entertaining for you. It was a popcorn moment for me, but it's just too early to be eating popcorn right now. But yeah, so like I said, definitely going to be watching this, and we will be bringing you updates as this matter unfolds. All right. So that's it for today's episode of Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9:00-ish, and you can come here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.